Imagine sitting at the top of a cold stadium for 2 hours waiting to rehearse and not getting paid for any of it, whilst your counterparts got paid to sit in a green room. Meanwhile, you performed alongside them on the biggest television event of the year, where advertisers paid millions to be alongside your performance, and over $10 million is spent on your performance. This is what happened at the 2021 Super Bowl. The Super Bowl just can't afford to pay the dancers at halftime. Well, that is some of them. Some of them get paid pretty decent, and both sets of experienced professional dancers performed alongside each other. The Super Bowl is weird in that it's a game that generates literally billions of dollars, and the halftime is a central point of the show. Maybe not so much for the football fans, but certainly it's quite often the highlight for non-football fans. The NFL, never one to miss a dollar, realized they could charge the artist to perform in front of the typical audience of 100 million plus viewers. The NFL covers expenses and production costs, but they charge the artist to perform. The Weeknd paid $7 million to perform with the backing of these unpaid dancers. And the spending has increased a lot over time. If we go back to 2009, Bruce Springsteen was given a $1 million budget by the NFL. But Springsteen and the band were paid nothing for that performance directly. They did, however, launch a new tour the next day that sold out and grossed $156 million, the year's third highest selling tour. In 2020, Jennifer Lopez and Shakira performed, and it cost the NFL $13 million to put on the performance, which led to an over 1,000% sales increase and 16,000 digital downloads according to Billboard. Shakira's Spotify tracks increased by 230% compared to the previous week, and Jennifer Lopez's music went up by 335%, the streaming service reported. When Maroon 5 performed in 2019, the band had a sales spike of 488% after the show, according to Nielsen data. In 2017, Lady Gaga had sales of her digital catalog increase more than 1,000% on the day of the game. She sold roughly 150,000 more albums and songs. The exposure is great and works for big name artists who have their name everywhere and their face plastered everywhere. But it doesn't work that way for the performers around them. Their name is not mentioned, you're not going to stream their music or watch them live as a result. I'm sure it's cool to have on a resume, but it's ultimately not the same thing. It's also important to note these are not inexperienced interns either. These are professional dancers who are used to getting paid because they already have a decent level of skills and are quite often from the same agencies as the paid dancers. When the Super Bowl did $450 million in ad revenues alone, there's plenty of money to go around too. The unpaid volunteers participate in nearly 2 weeks of rehearsals ahead of the Super Bowl, many of whom are trained dancers recruited from the same agency that represents the paid dancers on the halftime show stage. According to Taja Riley, who has been paid to perform in 2 previous halftime shows, the unpaid dancers are treated as volunteers but are required to attend 9 days of 9-hour rehearsal. According to the LA Times for the 2021 Super Bowl halftime show, according to the numbers provided in a text by Walker, paid dancers received $712 for show day and $45 per hour for their rehearsal time, as well as $30 per diem and a $250 COVID stipend if a dancer was asked to report to a clinic for a test on a non-working day. Unpaid dancers, says Walker, sat in stadium bleachers for up to 2 hours in the cold while waiting to rehearse, as their paid counterparts spent that time in green rooms. A dancer told the LA Times that during the Weeknd's performance, we thought they were non-dancers. We had no idea the other professional dancers were asked to do professional work until after, when we found out that definitely more than half the people were there doing free work. He said that when they talked to the unpaid dancers, they weren't aware that there were others getting paid or that they could use the experience as one of their 3 union gigs required to gain membership to SAG-AFTRA. As a result of all the negative publicity of all of this, SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Union and Performance Union, have reached an agreement in which no professional dancers will be asked to work for free as part of the show for 2022. A Super Bowl ad costs $6 million for 30 seconds in 2022. So there's a pretty simple solution of just adding one more 30-second ad slot, and the NFL could cover $2,000 for 2 weeks' work for 3,000 dancers. But the NFL itself wants to make sure it gets paid. The NFL, the Rams, and the Bengals all started suing potential counterfeiters as soon as the 2 teams were known. According to TMZ, on the Monday after the NFC and AFC championship games, they were suing to get a court order authorizing them to seize any counterfeit merchandise that they can find in the lead up to the match, which the documents filed say the counterfeiting is a multi-billion-dollar business. For me, it raises an interesting question. Obviously, it's better that everyone gets paid, but let's say they couldn't do that. Would it be better to know that the person next to you gets paid for doing the same thing, or neither of you? Personally, it would anger me so much, I'd rather they didn't even get paid, even though it'd be a better situation. And I know that's not the right thing to say, but I'm just being honest. What about you? If you enjoyed this, chuck me a like and subscribe to see more like it. And if you made it this far, you'll enjoy one of these other videos too.